We are live and the recording has begun.
Good afternoon, everyone. Hello, I am Candace Bailey. I'm the contracts manager for the North Carolina Department of Health and Human Services Division of Child Development and Early Education. And so I am excited that you all are here to be a part of our pre-application conference for our Promoting Healthy Social Behavior project. Well, we call it a program, but let's see. So today, who we would have speaking and answering your questions, if you have any, will be our senior manager, Andrea Lewis. I'm myself, contracts manager, and Celeste Pleasant is out today, but she's our RFA coordinator. And so we're going to go over just really what's in the RFA. That's actually what we do to our rules and how procurement works for the state of North Carolina. When we are releasing funding, we really have to be able to just share what's in the actual request for application, and we can expound upon any programmatic pieces that are, maybe vague in the request for application, but we can't really go too far outside of the bounds of that. So we'll be going over the actual request for applications and allowing for questions regarding that. So we'll review the background, the target audience, the scope of services, the selection process, and then the submission timeline and the Q&A, and then we'll have the time for the Q&A. And so the background, what has the introduction and the purpose of the RFA, which you'll find there. So I'm actually going to pull up the actual RFA because it helps you to see. It's going to be on the PowerPoint for now, but the actual introduction of the RFA, it just speaks about the funding source, and that would be the Child Care Development Block and Development Block Grant, the Child Care and Development Fund, which is federal funds, and it supports 100% of this program. And so that's what you will find in the background and just a general summary. And then the scope of services is this RFA really seeks to promote the social, emotional, and behavioral health of children ages birth to 5 years old enrolled in licensed child care centers and family child care homes in North Carolina through the provision of specialized professional development, technical assistance, and practice-based coaching for the early childhood workforce. So the scope of services aligns with the National Center of Pyramid Model Innovations, known as the Pyramid Model. Okay, and the funding availability. My apologies, just technical difficulties going back and forth. Okay, funding availability. This RFA will be for a 3-year funding cycle with an optional 2-year renewal term. So a total of 5 years maximum before another RFA is released if the awarded grantee is in good standing. Approximately $4 million per year will be available to support each funding year. One award will be funded through this announcement. So DCD will determine the actual funding amount based on the proposed execution of the project and the utilization of funds as outlined in the successful applicant's proposal. And of course, all of our funding related activities are based off of funding availability. So everything is based off the availability of funds. So things can change. So the target audience, the RFA is open to state agencies, universities, public and private nonprofit organizations with the current 501c3 standing. They must have a knowledge of early childhood education, the mixed delivery system, exhibit knowledge and provide examples of capacity to provide the scope of services and expertise in developmentally and culturally appropriate practices for young children birth to 12 years of age. Now, in reviewing the scope of services, it's going to just really highlight the major details, the major points that should be included in your application for consideration. So, in the scope of services, the specialized technical assistance and coaching is really the main focus of this program. It's to provide, is to you as an applicant will want to develop an implementation plan that includes the following: a detailed description and strategy for managing a statewide network of qualified staff to provide specialized technical assistance and specialized coaching to child care centers and family child care homes, and a detailed description and strategy for managing a statewide network of qualified staff to operate and maintain a telephone helpline. And in addition to that, let me go ahead and review a little bit more regarding that piece there. So this it's a detailed strategy and description for managing the statewide network of qualified staff to operate and maintain a telephone helpline to assist early childhood professionals in best serving children with perceived challenging behaviors and efforts to prevent suspension or expulsion from child care programs. So one of the most important pieces of the specialized coaching and technical assistance that are provided to teachers in child care centers and family child care homes is that they prevent the suspension and expulsion of children from the center or home due to challenging behaviors. So the program really focuses on helping the teacher to mitigate those challenging behaviors in their students so that they can be retained in the child care program. So let's go. All right. Also, what is a big piece of your application submission is a implementation plan on specialized professional development. So a detailed description and strategy for managing a statewide network of qualified staff to provide evidence-based professional development opportunities for early childhood educators employed in child care centers and family child care homes on social emotional health and child development, including strategies to support children with perceived challenging behaviors. Okay, so application should include a detailed timeline for implementation, a program that includes the following. So you want to include the proposed tasks, the due dates, and responsible parties in a timeline, a table format. That is the best format to use when including a timeline for your activities as outlined in your scope of services. And all of these details are outlined in the request for applications document. So our program outcomes, I'm not going to read all of these to you verbatim, but you can refer to the request for applications to understand that all of our programs at the division must be outcomes driven. So we want to make sure that we're able to track data and be able to see substantial growth and substantial development in the people, the professionals that we're working with. So we in classrooms, programs, making sure that there's substantial growth that can be documented. So outcomes are very important. So we want to make sure that this program has a percentage, an estimated number of early childhood programs that receive technical assistance that are receiving the services that show a measurable improvement and at least 2 quality indicators as documented by a standardized and appropriate assessment tool. The percent of early childhood program professionals participating in professional development that are better equipped to manage their program, as evidenced by 80% or higher content assessment scores. So it's important that there are assessments, that there are evidence-based, normed assessments that are used to be able to demonstrate growth and development. Also looking at the ones in people employed in child care centers that are receiving the services they're spending. They report that they spend more time on supporting child development and classroom instruction and less time on behavioral problems and disruptions, just showing that growth there. And then the percent of early childhood programs served reporting 0 suspensions or expulsions for social, emotional, or behavioral reasons, which this is the main outcome, one of the main outcomes of this program is to promote retention in child care facilities and homes. Okay, so every one of our programs also have to have a monitoring and evaluation plan. So we want to make sure that that there is in your application a detailed plan on program monitoring and evaluation, and there are several points there listed in the RFA for you to provide details on, to provide assurance that the program services and the deliverables meet the desired level of quality for the population it serves. So if you're a successful applicant, you would develop a comprehensive plan to establish performance monitoring at multiple levels of operations, from programmatic to participant levels, and regularly report, evaluate, and use performance information for continuous quality enhancement. And so just a little bit to go over the selection process on how the applications are scored. The applications will go if you are eligible, so you must meet the eligibility criteria as outlined in the RFA, as we went over previous to who was the target audience, who was this RFA open to. So there's 5 points for the summary, there's 20 points for the applicant qualifications, leadership capacity, 35 points for your program design, your timeline and implementation strategy, and 15 points for your evaluation plan, along with the 25 points for your line item budget narrative. So it's imperative that you follow the instructions and the guidelines specifically laid out in the request for applications to make sure that each of these sections are prepared according to the document. So the submission timeline and requirements. So this is our timeline of events. The request for application was issued on September 22nd. All questions will be due via email to the email as listed on the request for applications document. That's by October 10th. So you want to have all of your questions to the division by 5 o'clock on October 10th. And so all the questions that have been asked here in this webinar and that we have received via email that are content related questions, not procedural related, but content related questions, we will post the questions and the answers by October 17th. So we're right here at the pre-application conference, October 8th, and then the answers to the questions will be posted on our website, right where under what's new, right where the request for applications document is posted. You will see appearing underneath those attachments, you will see the Q&A document posted there by October 17th. Interested applicants, you could submit, this is optional, your notice of intent. We would like to have that by October 17th, but it is completely optional. And we have to receive all applications via email by November 3rd, 2025 by close of business that day, 5 p.m. and Eastern Standard Time. And then the successful applicant will be notified by November 24th, 2025, and then the estimated contract start date will be January 1 of 2026. So these are your submission requirements. With your application, you want to make sure that this is all inclusive. So when we say your application, this is what we mean. You're going to have your application checklist. You're going to have, which is in the bottom of the request for applications document. It's just a checklist, kind of looks just like this, where it shows that you actually make sure you're including everything. The application face sheet, that document is found on the website with the request for applications document as an attachment, along with the line item budget template. Also, you're going to have to include your proposal summary, design, evaluation plan. So that's essentially your application, the meat of it. The list of subcontractors, line item budget and FTE worksheets, and then the letters of commitment or statements of support, which are, it is optional, but if you do include it, make sure it's a part of your application and you submit it before that deadline, together with your application documents and your IRS tax status documentation. So that all must be included in your application and sent in by the deadline. All righty. Now, I'm sorry, I hope I didn't go too fast, but if I did, this is your time to ask questions and we can go back over some things or look at it, but remembering we have to stay within the confines of what's listed on the RFA, and be able to share any questions, any answers that you need for your questions. So let's see what we have. Jessica, do we have any questions in the chat?
There are currently no questions in the chat at this moment.
Okay, I think there's a Q&A piece. Is there any questions in the Q&A?
Oh,
There's no
oh, yes.
Q&A.
Oh, we have one question in the chat. It says, will you say more about the standardized normed content as assessments for post-training? So he's saying, will you say more about the standardized normed content assessments for post-training?
So, Andre, did you want to talk more about the assessment tool? I think he's referring to the outcomes when I had mentioned that we would want to have assessments right here. Is that what you're talking about? Was it Josh? Number one?
That first one, let's see. So tell me what the question is again. If you could repeat the question.
Sure. The question is, will you say more about the standardized normed, and he has that in quote unquote, content assessments for post-training?
Maybe
Yeah,
number two.
Yeah, I'm sorry, I'm not sure what is that referencing? Who is asking the question?
Perhaps it's only for T. I don't.
So we do have more questions, but that particular question is coming from Josh Bird.
Josh, we just need you to clarify your question, please.
Yeah.
Just make it a little bit more specific. Yeah, can you just write it out again and make it a little bit more specific so we understand exactly what you're asking? Thank you. That would be helpful.
We have another question. Should I move on or are we going to wait for Josh?
Yes,
to
we can
read?
move on. Yeah, move on
Okay.
and we'll come back to him. Yeah.
So the next question from Macy Holtzclaw. I'm sorry if I mispronounced her last name, but she's asking expected number of educators or sites to be served, preferred coaching or TA approaches. Finally, how will performance and outcomes be measured?
Okay, these are good questions, and that is a lot of what you're going to provide to us in your application, right? You're going to provide to us what is the estimated number of educators that you would be able to serve with this funding. That's a big piece of it, right? And then preferred coaching or TA approaches. We actually have it listed in the RFA that the pyramid model, the National Center, Andre, correct me if I'm wrong, but is the preferred model that we are for coaching and TA in this area that we have put in the RFA that we want you all to consider.
That's correct.
We have another question. Are we moving forward or we're still?
Yeah, I just wanted to make another point. In the RFA document too, you'll see that there's a hyperlink. So it's hyperlinked to the actual approaches. I don't know if that helps you at all, Marcy, but if you click on the links, it will actually take you to the pyramid model website, and then you actually learn more about what those approaches look like and what we're kind of looking for. Okay, thank you.
The next question is from Smokey Brawley, and the question is, perhaps it's only for TA/coaching and not for training.
Yeah, I believe she was trying to help Josh, I think, clarify his question, because I believe they work on the same team. So I think we can read Josh's question now. Let me know if
So-
that was right, Smokey, if you did have another question.
Okay, Josh Bird says yes, not number 1, but number 2.
Okay.
And then he proceeds to say, when you were describing the content assessments, you said they would need to be standardized and normed. But I was curious if you meant that for number 1 instead of number 2.
Yes. Yes, as it says, standardize an appropriate assessment tool for number 1. And then number 2, it says content assessment scores. So yes, I was just talking about in general. I was trying to wrap up all the performance outcomes together. Thank you for that, though. Thank you for that clarification.
And that seems to be the questions. Lucy is saying yes, thank you. Smokey is saying yes, that's right. And Josh Bird replied, thank you. Understood, and thank you, Candace.
All righty.
Marcy has another question. She says, are collaborations with other organizations encouraged? Is prior experience with the pyramid model required or preferred?
You want to take this one, Andrea, or you? I can answer if you. I mean, it's up to you.
I'll let you start, Candace, and then I'll jump in.
Yes, of course, collaborations are, definitely welcomed. It is important that there is collaboration. You'll also see that as something that we're looking at is your collaborations with other folks, with other professionals in the field. Also, the what was the second part of the question? Sorry.
The second part of the question is prior experience with the pyramid model required or preferred?
It's neither. It's not required, nor could we say it was preferred. It's not one of the selection criteria pieces. So I mean, if someone looks at your program design and your evaluation as far as the evaluation committee, and they review it and they determine that that would be a plus for the agency, you may score higher points, but that's not actually it's not actually written as a preferred or a required requirement for you to have worked with the pyramid model. We actually have the exact words. Let me get the exact words for you. So in our target audience piece, the RFA is open to, you must have knowledge of the early childhood education mixed delivery system. So these are the must-haves, right? You have to exhibit knowledge and provide examples of capacity to provide the scope of services to actually provide the work described there. And then you have to have expertise in developmentally and culturally appropriate practices for young children birth to 12 years of age. So we did not specifically list out that you must have, pyramid model experience. And I am gonna share, I do want to follow up with the collaboration piece because it's in the RFA, and I want to always make sure we're referencing back to the RFA and we're not really sharing anything that you wouldn't have been able to, read on your own. So let me go to that. Okay. So if you see here underneath on page 5, it actually has what you would need to include. In part 3, let's see, this is under the specialized technical assistance in coaching and mentoring. So number 1A3, it has specific and detailed strategy on statewide program collaboration with existing organizations and programs. So you do need to include that in your application if you want to fully respond to this piece. I hope that was helpful. And it still has it under professional development as well as under specialized professional development. Under 2A3, it has the same language there. For you to provide that strategy for collaboration with existing organizations and programs.
Marcy says, thank you. Will this information session be available on the DCDEE website?
Yes, we will work to make sure that it is on the website. However, it may take a little bit longer than the 10th to be up there. We'll work with our IT team to see how we can make it available, as we do have closed captioning to make sure it is accurate and complete. So please give us some time to have it posted on the website.
No more questions in the chat as of now.
Okay, please keep in mind that you do have, until close of business on October 10th to submit to us any questions that you have, and we will answer those questions, and we'll make sure we also document them on the Q&A document that will also be released on the website. So please let us know if you have any of those questions by submitting them in writing via email to the email that's in the RFA. I was just about to grab it, so I may can actually throw it in the chat. So it's dcdee.contracts.unit.rfa@dhhs.nc.gov, and I'm going to grab it. Any other questions?
There are no more questions in the chat.
All right. And here is the email address for all questions and submission that I'm putting in the chat. There we go. So you can send it to that email if you have any questions, or that is also the email where you're also going to submit your RFA, your application for the RFA. Okay, well, we're not gonna hold anyone past time. It doesn't appear to be any more questions. So if that is all, then you know how to reach us, and we will hopefully hear from you all soon. Thank you all very much. Have a wonderful afternoon.
Thanks.